Hi, welcome to PhotoshopLightroomTV. My name is Marek Mularczyk from sitetrain.co.uk and I'm your host. Welcome to episode 320, episode, which one, 17? I think so. Welcome, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial last week. I'm going to do a follow-up on this tutorial. Adobe has released Lightroom 3.3 and Camera Raw 6.3 on Adobe Labs. These are release candidates, that's why they're on Adobe Labs. They're not finished products yet, but you can go to Adobe Labs, download it, have a look on it, try it out. Each new release or each update for Lightroom and Camera Raw brings support for more cameras. On PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk you can find a link to Adobe Labs website. Okay, so today I've got a tutorial for you with Photoshop and Dreamweaver integration. I'm going to show you how you can use Photoshop and Dreamweaver to insert images. What precisely I'm going to show you? I've got a PSD file, and inside this PSD file there's a few images on separate layers. And I want to take one of the images from one of the layers and edit into Dreamweaver. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And after that I've got some more interesting things, so stick with me and we will be back in just a few minutes. Here I am inside Photoshop and I'm going to show you how you can add images between Photoshop and Dreamweaver. This time I'm going to use the copy and paste technique, and I want to insert one of these images on the page in Dreamweaver. In here, okay. But the thing is, I just want to add one of these images. I just want to add the image of the family. Okay. These images are on separate layers, so it should be quite easy. One of the possibilities that actually one of the delegates on one of my Photoshop courses came up with was to use the magic wand tool to select the background, because it's all white, and then inverse your selection and copy the selection into the clipboard. I'm just looking for the fastest way to do it. Now this will be easy because the happy family image is on its own layer. It's this image here. And because it's on its own layer, I can very easily and quickly select the layer or load layer as a selection and then copy it, because remember, if you go to edit, copy is grayed out unless you make some kind of a selection. Now to select the layer, to load layer selection, you just hold the Control key on a PC or Command key on a Mac and you click on the layer thumbnail here. This will load the layer as a selection. So easy. Now I'll go to Edit, Copy. Okay. Now I'll go to Dreamweaver. Okay. I'll make sure my cursor is here and I'll do Edit, Paste. I'll be prompted to save the file in here, image preview dialog box. I'm just going to leave it on the defaults. Now I'll just press OK. And the next step will be to save the image. I'm going to save it inside the images folder. Okay, just make sure it's on my desktop. Okay, I'll just click Save. Now I'm prompted for the image description, the alternate text. So I'm going to call that Happy Family, the same name as the image, and just press OK, and here's the image inside Dreamweaver, straight from Photoshop into Dreamweaver. That's how you can easily copy and paste the images between Photoshop and Dreamweaver. Okay, this is a really quick and easy tutorial, but more will follow. So back to the studio. Okay, this was the tutorial about using Photoshop and Dreamweaver. I've got one more for you, and now a few news. At the time that I'm recording it, one of the biggest events of the year takes place in California, Adobe MAX. If you've never heard about Adobe MAX, go to Adobe MAX website, max.adobe.com. This is the yearly event from Adobe about anything Adobe related. It's hosted by Adobe. Loads of workshops, seminars, lots of really interesting things, and you can meet some of the best guys in the industry. Okay? If you didn't manage to go to California, like myself, you can watch it online. You can go to Max website and watch the keynotes and the presentations. You can also watch them on Adobe TV, which reminds me that I want to tell you about Adobe TV. If you've never heard about Adobe TV, or if you've never watched it, go to tv.adobe.com and have a look on it. A fantastic website with loads of free videos about anything Adobe related. Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Flash, Lightroom, anything. And these are videos from the best people in the industry, from the guys from Adobe, from people who write books about these things, from authors of DVDs and training series. Okay. One more thing I want to share with you is I'm preparing the most often used keyboard shortcuts inside of Lightroom, and I'm going to make it available as a free download in PDF format. So you could take it on a USB drive, download it, maybe print it, put it in front of your computer, and learn to use keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcuts will be for Mac and for Windows, so it's for both users of both systems. And I'm compiling all the most important, all the most often used keyboard shortcuts. Okay, stick with me, keep an eye on PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk and keep an eye on PhotoshopLightroomTV. There'll be more information about that quite soon. I'm going to release the keyboard shortcuts quite soon, and I'm going to make it available as a free download. Okay, now let's have a look on another tutorial. Here I am inside Photoshop. I'm going to show you how you can use smart objects on your websites. Here I have an image that I'm going to use, naxoschurch.psd, and I'm going to use this image inside of Adobe Dreamweaver. Now I've got it all open here in Photoshop just to show you what the image looks like. I'm not going to use it from within Photoshop, so I'm just going to close it for now, and I'll minimize Photoshop. Now jump into Dreamweaver. Okay. In Dreamweaver, I'm going to replace this image placeholder with a smart object. If you've ever used smart objects in Photoshop, you know that one of the fantastic features of smart objects is that when you use smart object, it links to the file on the hard drive. And when you make the changes to the file on the hard drive, it automatically updates in Photoshop. We'll see something very similar in here. Now the images will not update automatically, but we'll see how we can easily update the images within the website in Dreamweaver. First, we're going to replace this image placeholder with an image, and I'm going to insert the PSD file straight in here. Now Dreamweaver doesn't support PSD, well, not Dreamweaver. The web browsers don't support PSD files, they can only display JPEGs. So you see what's going to happen. First, I'm working on this file here, naxostart.html. First, I'm going to replace this image placeholder. I'll just select it and press the delete key to delete it, and I'll insert the image. So I'll go to the insert panel. You can do the same from the insert menu as well. Insert the image. I'll just go to insert panel, and I'll click here on images, and I'll select image. This will open the select image source dialog box. In here, I'll navigate to my images folder and PSD subfolder, and I'll select the PSD file called Naxos Church. You can see there's no preview on the right hand side because it's a PSD file, not a JPEG. And I'll double click on it to insert it. Now Dreamweaver will open image preview dialog box because remember, PSD files don't display on the web pages, so we'll need to convert it to a JPEG or GIF or PNG file. I'm not going to go into details on the image preview dialog box. What I'm going to do here is I'll just make sure it's a JPEG, quality 80%, looks good, the file is 29 kilobytes, that's okay. I'll just press OK. Now I'm prompted to save this file because I need to save it as a JPEG. So I'll go inside the images folder and I'll just overwrite the previous version of the Naxos Church image. Yes, I want to replace it. And now I'm prompted to give it an alternate text, so I'll just type in Naxos Church. Alternate text displays when the image doesn't display on the page. Alternate text is also used by search engines and for accessibility by screen readers. So this information is going to be read by a screen reader to a disabled person browsing through the website. I'll just press OK. Now this image appears here on the page. Now it's a bit too big, so I'm going to resize it. I'm going to use the corner handle, and I'm also going to hold the shift key to make sure that the image doesn't get distorted. Okay, now the image is smaller. When I was resizing the image, I was looking into the properties panel to make sure that the width is 200 pixels and the height adjusted automatically. So now this image is 200 by 266 pixels, and you can see this icon here. This icon here represents smart objects, right? So it says this image is linked to the smart object on the hard drive. It's just a JPEG version derived from the smart object. This icon here is basically telling me I've just resized the image, I've changed its physical dimensions, and I can see that here as well. Because it's in bold, it means the image has been resized. If I want to resize it back to the defaults, I can just click this icon here. Right? I'm not going to do it in this case. Now I'm going to preview it and see how it looks in a web browser. So I'll just go here and select Firefox. So web browser, yes, I want to save changes. I need to save the changes before I preview it in a web browser. And now we should see this image in the left hand side in the navbar. Okay, that's my church image. Okay, just going to close that. Now let's make some changes. Okay, I'm going to close this page and I'll go back to Photoshop. In Photoshop, I'm going to change this file. So I'll go to File, Open Recent, naxoschurch.psd. I'm just going to leave the color profile as this, and I'll make some changes here. Because it's a PSD file, I can use layers. So I'll just go to Adjustments panel, and I'll select hue saturation. Make some visible changes. I'll just make this image into black and white. So I'll just drag the saturation to 0. And I'll click this left pointer arrow to go back to the main menu, and I'll save the file. File, Save, and then I'll close it. Okay, good. And I'll go back to Dreamweaver. Now in Dreamweaver, I'll reopen this page, naxostart.html, and I'll scroll down a bit. Now notice what happened here. We've got a new icon here. This means that the image has changed in another application or on a hard drive. It just tells you that the file has changed. Yes, that's true. Well, even though this is a JPEG image, I've changed a PSD file which is related to this JPEG file. Every time I change the Naxos Church PSD file, Dreamweaver will prompt me that something's changed and do I want to update it. What I can do now is I'll just right click on this icon here, and the pop-up menu will come out, and I'll just go to Update from Original. Okay. When I select Update from Original, this will update from the PSD file, and voila! Now the image is black and white. Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you want me to show, send me an email, info@scitraining.co.uk. Time for the tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is in Photoshop. And this is not related to any specific version of Photoshop. If you want to colorize image, whether it's a color image or black and white, and you want to colorize it, here's one trick what you can do. Use the brush tool, and using the options bar, change the blend mode for the brush tool to color. When you change the blend mode of the brush tool to color, it's going to paint with color, but it's also going to keep the texture and the lighting on the image. So you'll still see the content behind. You'll be painting over the texture. Okay, this was the tip of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV. I hope to see you next week, as usual, for some more exciting tutorials, tips and tricks, another tip of the week. Once again, I'm Marek Mularczyk from scitraining.co.uk, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful rest of the week and a weekend. Bye bye.